Come one, come all to Surviving the Aftermath. The 1.0 release of Surviving the Aftermath that is finally out of early access, and Paradox have sponsored me to tell you exactly that. And given that 99% of my channel is either colony building games or Paradox games, I really can't argue with that. Now, those of you who've been around for a while will know that I don't take sponsorships unless it is something I genuinely enjoy playing. So Surviving the Aftermath automatically gets my badge of approval. But apparently, for some strange reason, they also want me to play the game. Now, I'm certainly not complaining at all, because this may surprise you to know, I do enjoy city builders, and I haven't played this too recently, but I have been keeping an eye on it in the sideline. But it has come a very, very long way since we first played it on the channel. We have played this before, months and months and months ago. I want to look up how long ago it was now. October the 19th, 2019. So as you can imagine, it's come a very long way since then. So we will start with the tutorial, because even if you did watch that video, I feel like a recap might be necessary. And this game has one of my absolutely favorite city building mechanics as well, which I'm hoping we'll get to today, and I'm kind of hoping we'll get up to the point of the main quest as well. That only triggers beyond a certain point, so you still have plenty of freedom, and I do enjoy this game just for the freeform city building, to be honest with you. But the main quest as well, just to help us focus down a little bit, could be good for someone like me. I get very distracted. Modern civilization is gone. It fell apart in a time when rivaling superpowers fought over power and ideology. Too focused on themselves, no one noticed what was coming, until it was too late. And that, my friends, was space rock. Skies rained down fire as thousands of comets and massive objects pummeled the inner solar system. On Earth, cities were leveled and replaced by vast wastelands. This is relevant because it does actually have a gameplay effect coming up. Well, I mean, other than the fact that you have to rebuild the civilization. I'm going to leave the tutorial messages on, even though I know what I'm doing. It'd be quite nice to recap some of the new features, especially that have come out in 1.0. And now we have customizable difficulty. So difficulty goes from 50% all the way up to 100%, and technically beyond that if you really do feel like punishing yourself. I like the fact it isn't just simply easy, medium, hard, because it means every time you play, you can spice things up in different ways. You get 3 choices amongst each of these subcategories: challenge, catastrophes, environment, survivors, ideology. So if you want to play a run that's fairly chill, but with a lot of ideological problems, dealing with problems with people specifically and other factions, you can do exactly that. If you want to be up against the environment, that's the way you can set it up. Or you could go butt wild and set everything to maximum difficulty. And despite the fact that we all here know that I am maybe the best person at building cities there is, I'm going to go for a fairly medium difficulty this time, I think. So for the basic challenge then, let's go for it's a tough road to walk but never unfair, medium, and a perilous road ahead. As for catastrophes, it's a dangerous world but we'll get there. This affects the frequency of natural disasters. I think, honestly, in some ways I kind of want to go frequent so that we can see the full impact of everything going on, and then we'll lower some of the other effects to try and balance that out a little bit, because, I mean, I'm not that good. Cities are demolished, but nature prevailed. I think we'll go for that option this time for plenty of fertile soil, especially because, let's be honest, our city's probably going to get demolished with the catastrophes that we've set up here. Now we get to choose the survivor option, so we can increase the amount of starting resources and survivors that may offer to join us. Gives us obviously a lot more flexibility there. I think we'll go for the middle option. So ideology is unique in that it doesn't have any impact on your colony's difficulty specifically, but more what you're going to focus on, maybe based on the other things you've chosen, or maybe just your own playstyle. So we can either go for survival and efficiency, large-scale production, or health and safety. Let's go for survival and efficiency to make up for my own terrible inefficiencies. So then we get to pick our specialist, which is pretty much my favorite mechanic of the game, the thing I kind of hinted at earlier that we will get up to later on. But for the time being, they all are essentially unique colonists with their own specific stats, strengths, weaknesses. Take, for example, Fritz at the front here. Very, very good in combat, but pretty terrible around the border. If we pick this lady here, very, very good at research, but obviously not so good at combat. Slightly lower health. I'm going to jump to the end, and we are going to take this incredible guy here, the Baron, who is very, very good at combat. And then we're also going to pick, I think it's this guy. Yes, Satoshi is very, very good at research. This guy works extremely hard. A little bit flimsy, though. A little bit of a fragile guy. And then the most important thing of all, our flag. Now, I love the flag within a flag. That's incredible meta. No, but I mean, given the channel icon these days, what choice have I got? Have you got more of an ice color? I guess we'll go for white on the flag then. Perfect. And again, 75% difficulty is your median point, given that it scales from 50% up to 100%. technically, again, more if you want to crank up everything. But a lot of our difficulty is going to come from the natural disasters, which I think will also just be incredible to watch as my loving, well-designed colony is annihilated. Colony name. I'm going to go for Joris's Funhouse, and the colony motto, excellent. I'm pretty happy with that one. And there we have it. Medium challenge, frequent catastrophes, but a nice environment to make up for it. Average resources, and colonists are going to join us, and we're focusing on survival. Let's see if that actually comes true. And here we are. It's like looking at my own house already. Let's pause things quickly so I can go over the UI and everybody can be on the same page here. So our top bar are all of our various resources that we'll need categorized by different, well, categories. Over in the top left will be messages, events, things of interest, and in our case also the tutorial messages as well. In the bottom left we have all various different levels of speed, although anybody's watched this channel more than 5 minutes will know that I'm going to be on speed 3 all the time. The bottom center bar is probably the most important one in the entire game. It's going to be the thing you're interacting with the most. So from left to right, you have your basic pause menu where you can crank the graphics up and see all these burnt out cars in the highest detail possible. The second left icon is the codex, essentially a huge help screen that'll tell you about all the different aspects you'll need to survive. I can say, and this is probably a good thing, I've never actually used the codex. But it's very, very handy to have because that way you don't have to constantly message in your favorite YouTuber's Discord about problems that you can solve yourself. Then we have radio stations, so you can swap between your favorite apocalyptic radio stations. The third from the right is statistics. This will show you all of your, brace yourself, colony stats. Very, very good for those of you who love Excel spreadsheets more than playing video games. It is extremely useful though for the colonist screen so that you can see, for example, who you've forgotten to feed today. Second from the right, we have the tech trees, plural, because there is a huge amount of technology that you can go through in this one. Food tab, resources, building, manufacturing, all sorts of unlocks. And then the final icon for all you sweaty gamers out there is the overlay tab, so you can see exactly what's going on in your base. Kind of useful is the pollution tab, to be honest. That'll show areas you need to avoid. Talk more about the pollution mechanics later on. Jokes aside though, the resources overlay is very, very useful because you can tell immediately at a glance what items you've got nearby. Actually quite handy because there are certain buildings that will operate better depending on their placement inside, say, trees, for example. So you can track those down a little bit quicker. Then finally, our center button is where you build absolutely everything. Before we kick things off and start building them, we'll go very, very quickly over the top bar. So from left to right again, my favorite way of doing things, we have colonists, and this is really handy so you can see immediately workers, carriers, elders, adults. I'd liken that more to RTS. Have you ever played that with idle villagers hanging around? That way you can take a look and see where the problems lie. Oh, immediately next to that is also happiness, but we haven't got anyone quite yet, so we'll look at that when we've actually got some people living here. Then you have your basic, I would say almost essential resources in the next category. Food, water, energy. This is so great at a glance to see whether you've got enough net resources for everybody. Consumption and production, and then how much you're going to store. Basically, it's just kind of handy to know if you can bring on new settlers or not, if you've got a significant enough surplus, for example. After that, you have your raw materials, I guess, for lack of better words. So in order, you have wood, plastic, metal, concrete, parts, and components. And again, everything here has a production and consumption, so you can try and balance your economy pretty well. And then you've got all your manufactured stuff: tools, clothing, weapons, medicine, and firewood for a particularly cold winter, which we might not have to worry about this time around because we've got the environment to fairly modest settings. Then you've got what I would describe as kind of expendable currencies, so science points that you use to obviously progress through the research tree, actual straight-up currency, and then bonus items, including everybody's favorite, Fun Box. And then these shadowy silhouettes of our 1930s detectives there are our specialists. When we actually have set up the colony, those will populate with the first two guys we chose from the last screen. So the big globe in the bottom right we'll cover in a moment because we have to build something and do something first before that becomes active, but that is, again, my favorite mechanic. Then we've got things that have been added since the last time we played. So the colony prestige is essentially achievements, right? For completing certain things, you tick off certain goals, and ideally you probably want to get through most of these, and you will get through most of these during a regular playthrough. Things such as killing it. There you go. So defeating a certain amount of hostile animals will tick that one off the list. Almost part tutorial, part main quest to progress through. And then we have societies, which is not relevant right now because we haven't found anybody. Which is crazy, because when you think about it, we all live in a society. So without further ado, I think we should probably build a settlement. Now, one thing they added in 1.0, if I'm not mistaken, is voiceovers.
The world is in ruins.
Wow.
Things once considered mundane are hard to find, and habitable land is no exception. A settler has finally found a spot for a new colony. With a place to call home, it is time for a new beginning. Welcome to the Aftermath, survivor.
Roll credits. Thank you. Build the campsite to mark the center of a new colony and start uncovering the surrounding area. Let's do it. And I should probably also mention as well, this icon here, you'll see a lot during gameplay, and that will represent certain events, certain things you have to resolve within your colony, which will have negatives or positives, depending on the event. We'll see some of those in a second. Let's actually get to throwing down our settlement then. Our campsite is going to be our basic building that we'll spiral out from, so I'm going to make that fairly central to this introductory road, but we've also got to consider the resources we've got to work with nearby. And there he goes, a little settler building Joris's Funhouse. I will admit, not the most appropriate name for a post-apocalyptic settlement. Wow, there you go. So that unveils a lot of fog of war. The maps in this are gigantic. You could build the largest city you could ever possibly want. So let's send up the signal flare then and get our first little settlers in. Hello there. And that with it will confer our kind of starting resources. So 90 wood, 120 plastic. We do have to balance things a little bit to start off with, but I like that this game doesn't force you to be hyper efficient like some other colony building games where it genuinely does kind of feel like it's pouring over a spreadsheet in some ways. So one thing we want to build as soon as possible is the gate, but that is 190 wood, 175 plastic, so we can't build that yet. That also wouldn't be too sensible given they don't actually have anywhere to live. So we're going to throw down a couple of tents. Tents support 3 people each. For now, obviously we'll unlock better structures as we go along here. And I want to leave a little bit of room between everything. The first time I played this, I definitely made the mistake of trying to cram things in too close, thinking that'd be the most efficient way to go about things, but it's definitely not. I'm going to try and leave a little bit of a gap between everything because we can place down roads. Roads increase movement speed. They let your colonists get between places so much faster. So these icons are essentially 3 buildings we've got to kick the colony off with. So the stockpile is where we're going to keep all of our things, but it also lets you gather from nearby buildings as well. I want to put it somewhere very convenient, but somewhere where it can also work pretty efficiently. Let's throw it down there, because then we're covering all the piles, and it's only 1 block away from... Let's spin it around a little bit. Then it's only 1 block away from our city center, too. Oh, no, come on. I just want all 4. Okay, let's face it in that direction. There we go. And then food storage is the same story. You use that to collect berries, but we also want it convenient enough so that they can, well, actually go and get some meals without having to traipse halfway across the map. So even though over here it would be kind of good to gather from all 3 bushes, it wouldn't be super convenient for our colonists living their life. So let's throw that... I think if we just throw it so we're covering that one and it's close to our tents here, that's not too bad. Then we have water collectors, and we will build water storage immediately as well. Now with this, it's worth mentioning the screen on the left-hand side there. As you place buildings, they'll get certain efficiency ranking depending on where you place them. So obviously putting the water collector all the way over here, where you're not going to get as much water coverage, isn't going to be as good as placing it further down the coast. Let me see if I can show you that. So 69% over there. As nice as that is, isn't super ideal when you're trying not to die horribly. So we could place it all the way over here again for 100%, but that's not super convenient. So we'll try and find a nice middle ground. I ideally try and keep everything over 75%. So I'm going to put it, drop it like right there. And because we're going to have roads connecting everything up, I'm going to put the water storage pretty much straight down the road parallel to our water collector. And then for actual production buildings, I want to put down a recycler so that we can obviously reliably get some plastic there. And then the lumber yard is what we'll use to, funnily enough, get lumber. But you have to bear in mind, chopping down these trees might come with some side effects, like, for example, gathering food, destroying habitats. Got to think about these things. So I'm going to build the lumber yard a little bit further away. We don't have to worry so much about the areas of effect as well. When you build a building, you can move the work area that they target. Obviously, if you move it further away from the building, it's going to take them a little while to get there. But it's not the end of the world if they chop down these trees super fast, or you can't quite find the perfect area. So we can get an idea for what our colonists are doing by, again, hovering over the colonist tab there. So we've got 11 total population, 6 carriers, and 1 worker. That worker is almost certainly a builder right now. And rather tragically, right now, I can't put the children to work. So they're just going to sit here and eat my food and drink my precious water. And speaking of which, we probably should find a way to build some food. So you've got the choice of a trapper or a fishing pier. See the production there as well. We can't afford either of these, but I'm going to intentionally queue them up so that we can actually see another one of the mechanics. Now for the fishing pier, because it's food. I'm going to focus on the efficiency of that a little bit more, I think. Let me spin it around the other way. 68% there. Ugh, it's not really good at all, especially given that it's quite far away. I guess we'll build it down here a little bit then. 88, 94. It's not bad. Honestly, I think directly next to the water collection is absolutely fine. We're going to build a road out that way anyway. So the trapper is what I was talking about earlier. That works the most efficiently in densely forested areas. So if we'd built the lumber camp over here and chopped down all of these trees, that would have cut off a valuable food source for us, right? So you do have to consider a little bit about building placement too. And by a little bit, I mean if we'd have chopped those trees down, we would have starved to death. Oh no, you fool. You've accidentally queued up far too many buildings that you quite simply just don't have the resources for anymore. Well, what do we need to build these buildings? We need plastic and we need lumber. So the first thing we can do is go over to our plastic building and we can say, hey, somebody go over there and work that instead of carrying or whatever other job they've got lined up. Well, our lumberyard isn't yet built. So that's when we can click on the lumberyard and make it the highest priority for construction. And like we did with the plastic processing facility, I've thrown another person to work in the lumberyard as well. And let's say you, much like me, rarely think things ahead and you accidentally have placed down 15 lumberyards but only one plastic facility. Well, you can go to any building that produces things and set a limit on the amount of items for them to produce. So we'll say when we hit 100 wood, don't bother getting any more wood. Similarly, when we hit, say, 150 plastic, don't bother getting any more plastic either. Now, I want to build this gate as soon as possible. It's your kind of big early milestone that you want to aim for. So I'm going to set both of these over to 200, and then we're not going to put down anything else until we've got that gate going. And then to illustrate what I was saying earlier, let's say, for example, we've run out of plastic in these stockpiles. You can move the work area to select another plastic stockpile further out. Problem with that, of course, is you are moving further out, so it'll be a little bit slower. You have to kind of decide whether or not you want to build a new building closer or just move the work area entirely. So there's our basic colony setup, and things are coming along pretty nicely. Food is going fine. Production only 2 for the time being because we haven't finished the pier yet. Not to mention we could throw somebody else into the trapper hut as well. So I'll get someone else put as a priority on that one. Water, we're just about breaking even with 11 production, 11 consumption, so don't have to worry about that. And then, of course, energy. Right now we haven't got anything producing it. You seem pretty upset about something. What's the problem? What's going on? Poor shelter. Overall happiness is down? It's the apocalypse. I'm sorry, I haven't yet researched 4-poster beds. So needy. Let's try and speed things up a little bit then by planning out a whole bunch of roads everywhere. Oh, look. Commotion in the camp. Someone is yelling inside a tent. Before we do that, though, the final thing I would like to do is get our specialists doing something. Their main application is elsewhere, but these are 2 unique characters that you can specifically give orders to. So we're not quite yet breaking even on food production. 7 and 9 now that the fishing pier is set up. I'm going to have those guys go and just harvest berries for us. You know, like the specialists that they are. So this is what I was talking about earlier. These are little events that will happen that you will have to try and resolve.
Suddenly, muffled cries for help start echoing from one of the shelters.
Oh no.
Inside, a large hole has opened up in the ground, swallowing the poor colonist.
So now we have a choice. The shelter was apparently built on top of a small sinkhole. A makeshift ladder should help get them out without injury. We can either say, build a makeshift ladder and sacrifice the 15 resources, or say that they can climb back out without one. It's all a balancing game. Or you have to try and make the right choice for your colony. If we were super desperate, if we were playing on a higher difficulty and resources are scarce, maybe we want to leave the colonists to do their own thing. Might be a gamble, though. We might lose a lot of happiness. For the time being, we've got a pretty big abundance of wood, so we'll go ahead and build them the makeshift ladder. Not quite that cruel yet. And there you go. 20 happiness. Nearby colonists fetch wood from the stockpile. Together, they fashion a crude but functional ladder to lower down the sinkhole. Ah, there you go. So now the work area for the stockpile is completely out of operational zone. So we can move that to go for something else. A little bit of wood over there, but there's a lot of stockpiles in this zone. Might be worth moving a little bit further out. I would say let's put some final touches on the colony, but maybe I should have done this a while ago. We're going to build them a toilet. These produce pollution, so you do have to bear that in mind building it close to other buildings. I'm going to aim for convenience right now. We can always move them later if we need to. And then I'm also going to go for a medical tent. This is where people will go if they're injured working or maybe in combat. Try and throw that somewhere convenient as well. How about on the path over to the water collector? So basic colony sorted. We're stockpiling food. Water we're breaking even with. So we might want to do something with that later on. But I want to build the big old gate. The gate opens up the world around the colony for exploration, and sending specialists beyond the colony becomes possible. This is one of the big gameplay loops to the entire thing. Oh no. Henry is infected? Henry, I'm trying to talk about the gate, you selfish little kid. What's wrong with him? Poor Shelter. And then the major disease itself. Well, that medical tent couldn't come at a better time then, huh? In that case, let's pause the gate and let's focus on getting the medical tent set up as soon as possible. Well, I hope you're happy now, Henry. I mean, he is. He's cured. But my poor gate. Not worth the sacrifice. The fishery's been damaged? What are you idiots doing?
This is being berated and pushed around by their neighbors.
No. Apparently, they've fallen asleep while working at the fishery and their campfire got out of control. The body's in danger of burning down. Tell them to fetch the fish, or should we put out the fire first? We're doing alright with food. We're actually doing incredibly well with food. Let's focus on getting the fire out. Okay. A small group is assigned to put the fire out. They managed to do so, but not before all of the fish is burned to ash. I don't mind. I think we're alright for food right now. That does, however, still damage the fishery, so we will have to repair the thing. 10 plastic? I just want to build a gate. I also love the idea of them burning down what is obviously just some planks over the water. Oh. The horizon starts turning from blue to toxic green, and the air seems to burn your lungs. These are the first signs of impending danger. Intense radiation is a constant threat to colonist buildings and crops withering and dying due to a nuclear fallout. New seeds can't be planted before it's over, and severe cases of radiation sickness and thirst take the toll on everybody. So it's recommended we harvest crops on fields before they wither. We haven't even hit that point in the game yet where we can research and build farms. Stockpile iodine pills. Again, a little ahead of the curve on that one. Or we could build more medical facilities. That we can definitely do. And of course, we've gotten this early because I, in my infinite wisdom, set disasters to be more frequent. It's okay, though. We've got 4 makeshift tents and a couple of bathrooms. I think they'll be fine. A little toxic fallout is incredible for the immune system. Although I might have to build some more medical bays. Well, there we go. Time is up. Elizabeth is irradiated. We've got Camilla working there as our doctor. She's in the process of treating her right now. What is wrong with you people? I think this is going wonderfully. Something's off with the shelter. Some shortcuts have been made during building. You got embezzlement during the apocalypse.
Not everybody is equally skilled in the art of building.
Evidently.
But one of the colonists seems extraordinarily bad at it.
March him into the wilderness. I'm done with him. 9 plastic to improve the tent, or we leave it be. This is happiness on the line. And let's be honest, they're probably a little bit upset anyway because of the whole nuclear apocalypse descending on us. Fine. I am a magnanimous colony leader. You have your plastic. Oh. Well, here it is. We have to be aware of intense radiation and heavy rain, not to mention certain buildings will be disabled by certain disasters. So water collector right now, it's out for the count. We're making a whopping minus 11 water. 103 in storage. We might be fine. We may all die horribly, but I'll die with a gate, damn it. Oh. Elizabeth again? No. Elizabeth and Leo. What are these two doing that are getting them... what are they assigned to? She's assigned to the water collector. Well, that's not much of a surprise. Sipping straight from the source. Leo works at the fishing pier. Yeah, it's almost as if you guys should probably stay away from that for the time being, huh? 3 colonists are irradiated. I can't stop this. What an unfortunate starting catastrophe, huh? Organ now symptoms gone. Okay, good treatment. Well done. Dr. Belinda, you've done it again. I'd give you a raise if I had anything even remotely to pay you with. Oh, no. Leo, are you get there? It's over. We're fine. Only 4 people are irradiated. Let's get some people back on production as soon as possible. See, you don't need trivial stuff like shelter or iodine pills. All you need is a bit of gumption and a stiff upper lip. Oh, probably because it's fused that way because of all the nuclear radiation. And now we've got the added bonus of being able to see our colonists easier. One of the colonists has approached us about some bright idea, and I do famously hate other people's opinions. But she thinks she can make us clothing because of a secret technique her grandmother passed down to her. Honestly, take the fiber. Oh no. She's given the fiber and she hurries off, grateful for the trust. Oh no. After not hearing from her for a while, some of the colonists decide to go and take a look. The little fiber that hasn't been ruined has been mangled into a patchy, poorly made coat that will surely fail to protect even the slightest dribble. Sorry, I really tried, the woman says, unable to meet anyone's eyes. Maybe a public execution? No? Probably not the best thing we could do for colony happiness, I will admit. I thought I should probably also throw down a water well here so that we could actually try and stockpile some water in case of another, I don't know, nuclear disaster. The problem with wells is they are a little bit restricted. We can't build any other wells in that same radius now. But you know what we do have? We have work beginning on the gate. Congratulations! You've rebuilt the gate and gained access to the world map. The gate is now open and the vast world stands ready for your specialist to explore. I love the fact that we painted the gate with no arms and go away. So we can send our specialists out now to explore the world, but the world will also explore us. Your colony will begin attracting various folks, some good, others desperate, some tricksters, and those who want to see you destroyed. We will have to defend ourselves from the inevitable raids. Thank you. And there you go. A whole new milestone with a whole new bunch of survivors.
Bunch shuffles slowly towards
Hello.
the gate.
I wish I'd been a farmer. I hear they're treated like prophets now. I would like to help if you choose to accept us. So we get a specialist by the looks of it, somebody called Garrot, which is an incredible name, along with 7 adults, 1 child. A fantastic ratio. People who are actually capable of working, no elders, and they are bringing some supplies as well. Welcome. Welcome. Come and join us. Now you're going to make me build your tents, aren't you? Well, hello. Oh, was that my clean water? So now we get to the thing I've been hyping up for quite some time. I love city builders. I'd have been content with this game as it is right now because the research tree is so expensive and there's so many ways to customize it that you can play in many, many, many different ways. Then they go ahead and add a whole other separate game on top of your game. So this right here is our world map, and we can send our specialists out of the gate into the world to go and explore and find various different things. It's how we will get our research for unlocking new projects. Now, our specialists are also our fighters, so you do need to play a little bit of a balancing game here as well. I'm going to send Baron out to the world map along with Satoshi as well. Satoshi's very good at research and scavenging, and Baron is very good at combat. So as long as we're picking the right action for the right person, we should be fine. Then we'll leave Garrot at the base and just have her collecting tasty fruits. So let's get these specialists out into the world. If we hover over the various different things we can see in our starting area here, you've got things like hazards and what you'll actually get if you go there. So this one has no hazards and science points, so we absolutely want to send Satoshi over to that one. 20 hours it'll take him. Then we have nothing with hazards quite yet, so there's probably no combat lined up for Baron, but we do have this one here that gives basic clothing and this one here that gives basic tools. Let's send you over to... How far is it to that one? It's all going to take 1 day to get to, or we can go and scout a new area. Well, this one up here is wasteland. We have plains, plains, and plains. What down here? Oh. Looks like there's roads in this area. That will take us, as you can see there, 2 days to get to it. Why not? I'm going to send Baron down there to go and uncover a whole new map. Satoshi, sure, not great at combat, but these don't have any hazards, so he can definitely grab the tools and the coats. Ah, there we go. Not only have we got a new quest available, but we've also got some science points to spend. That must be from Satoshi on our world map. Let's take a peek here. We've got a lot of problems with radiation right now because of that first fallout. A few contaminated buildings here and there. That's increasing our people getting irradiated. So I want to take a look at safety. So I want to get up to medical training here. Now, to get to medical training, we need to tick off nurses, which would be essentially double our speed anyway for treatment, and then 20% healing speed on top of that. First, we need to go for guardians. This will give us a guard post. We can just assign people as guards for the colony. Then if we get any hostile raiders, they will hopefully clap them. So we're going to take guardians. Then I'm going to queue up nurses and also medical training as well. Riley? What's wrong with you? Riley died of radiation sickness. There's no point asking her. She's dead. I did build a couple more medical tents. Maybe shouldn't have rushed to the gate as fast as I did. I also shouldn't be blamed for, you know, the radiation storm that came in. On the plus side, that is one less person we have to cure now. So, burial pit. If we go into the health tab, we can throw down a burial pit. If we deconstruct these, it will make everybody unhappy. Corpses will also take quite a long time to decay. Ideally, we want to throw this somewhere out of the way. We could put it right at the front gate to send a message to our enemies. Yeah, that works. And then the high-rise quest. A rumor about a local notorious bandit leader is going around. She and her gang have taken up residence in the ruins of a nearby high-rise. They have managed to gather substantial wealth to protect their possessions. Do we want to go to the high-rise or abandon quest? I mean, of course, I'm going to go to the high-rise. Oh, hello! A colourful van approaches the gate. Hello, colourful van.
Approaches the gate, squeaking and creaking under the heavy load inside.
A man dressed in eccentric clothes steps outside and waves. Greetings, may I interest you in some fine goods? He shouts, and he opens the back of his van to show you a variety of collected items. We can trade wood for research. That's actually not a bad deal. Trade food for medical kits, also not terrible, or food for metal. Okay, that's quite a hard choice. I think I'll take the research in exchange for wood then. Thank you. What a nice guy. And off he goes. Back to the bigger world. I love you, definitely not Crazy Dave. I'm sorry, comically evil Baron. It's your time to go and explore the high-rise. This high-rise is definitely a lair for several dozen bandits, and the lower floors are barricaded and booby-trapped to repel any intruders. Despite that, the bandits have grown arrogant and lazy, as their defenses have 2 possible entry points, one a few levels up and accessible with a rope, another by squeezing through a narrow gap. Well, the Baron does have big, strong muscles, so we're gonna rappel up the wall instead. Pulling oneself stealthily up the side of a building is tough, but a few silent curses later, the specialist reaches an unguarded floor. A couple of thugs are loitering around, playing a lazy game of cards. There's a pile of coins next to them, and even more further up. It'd be risky to sneak that far. Do we grab the nearby coins, try to steal the bigger pile, which we can't, or go back and return later? Grab the coins. Oh, nice work. It's safer to just grab the smaller bag of silver nearby. It's still heavy, and the risk of dropping it makes rappelling down even more nerve-wracking than the ascent. Just as the specialist is about to reach the bottom, a few loose coins fall out and hit the metal sheet with a loud clang. The specialist bolts off as bandits rush in, only to find a rope and some loose change on the ground.
Quest complete.
Nice work, Baron. And with that quest complete, I think you have a fairly solid introduction to surviving the aftermath. As I said in the 1.0 version, there is a main quest, so essentially what we just did there with Baron, but a much, much longer experience. And it should be very, very obvious. We have barely scratched the surface. I mean, there is just a staggering amount of research in this game. Just way too much for us to cover in a single video. So that brings me on to my next question. Do you want to see more of this? Because I'm more than happy to play it on this channel or the second channel, depending on where we want to go with that. The best part about this being a sponsored series is I don't have to worry about things like YouTube analytics or the algorithm ruining my fun. Instead, I can just have fun by playing Surviving the Aftermath. And you know what? You can too, by looking at my link in the description if you just want to check it out, or if I have convinced you with my daring quest to... Oh, God. Or if I've convinced you by imminently freezing to death, go and have a look down there. And that will let them know that I have sent you to them. And they will be pleased, and I will be pleased. And hopefully, we both want you to be pleased as well by playing a fun video game. And as I said before, I don't take sponsorships unless I genuinely enjoy the content, so being given the opportunity to play a game I enjoy and also get paid for it is a phenomenal privilege, which is rare on YouTube these days. A big thank you once again to Paradox for sponsoring this video, for providing me with this fresh copy of Surviving the Aftermath, because my last one was on Origin. And more importantly, have a look, click my link, and see what you think for yourself. And again, let me know if you want to see more of this, because I'm more than happy to keep playing it, honestly. And there will be even more variety content coming soon. 2022, I've decided, is the year of doing other games on the main channel along with our regular old stuff, so we will certainly make a return to this at some point anyway. I should try playing all of the colony builder games, see if my experiences come through on the highest difficulty with all of them. Either I'll learn a very valuable lesson in a trial by fire, or it'll be terrible and hopefully quite amusing, or maybe both. Hopefully both. And even though that'll do for the video, I'm going to keep playing this because I am genuinely enjoying it. So, see you all whenever.